The DSM-5 tab in the Medical section of the client record is used to store the client's diagnostic information. The system provides a series of pre-filled lookup fields that allow you to input the clinical diagnoses. To do so, click Add DSM-5 Entry. From here, you can start by choosing either the ICD-9 or the ICD-10 code once those are live. Doing so will populate the corresponding DSM-5 information with respect to the domain through the disorder fields. You will then need to enter the remaining pieces based on the client's specific diagnosis details. Depending on the domain through the disorder selections, a subset of criteria may populate, as in this case, that should be addressed. If you don't know the ICD-9 or ICD-10 codes, then begin adding the DSM-5 entry by going straight to the Domain Lookup section and selecting the domain. Based on that selection, the relative subcategories from class to subclass 2 will display. If a selected domain does not have these subcategories, then they will disappear, as when bipolar and related disorders is selected. The next available drop-down becomes disorder, which is pre-filled with disorders specific to that domain. As in another example, selecting neurodevelopmental disorders will populate the subcategories of class through subclass, and it is appropriate to make those selections in order to have a complete DSM-5 entry. Once the DSM-5 entry is made, notice the ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes will populate. A checkbox is available to designate if the diagnosis is the primary diagnosis. Note that the date of diagnosis is required. A comment box is optional to enter any additional information. Click on the Save button to save this to the client record. The entry can then be retrieved on the left-hand side of the form. Continue adding all DSM-5 entries. Lastly, the DSM-5 diagnosis information can be formatted to the medical note. That request is done through our support department and can be handled by going to Options, Support, and Contact Support. Optionally, client medications can be included on the formatting of the medical note as well. This prevents duplicate entries if the DSM-5 information is captured here at this screen and a required component on the note.